welcome back. It's time to get your expert to do works for you, which is a great way to go through life, right? Get experts to do stuff for you. But sometimes you need to, program your expert. My analogy is broken down, so let's get started with my code. So first thing you need to do is you need to initialize your expert, okay? And they've given you the code on how to do this, right? It says let expert equals to capital E expert. So I'm going to tap on this and just follow the code they've given, capital E expert, okay? Let's just run it and see what happens, right? Run my code and you're going to see, hey, there you go. There's an expert, right? He's dancing around. Cool. Hello. Tap on him. Does nothing. Still not sure what gender these features are, but I might just refer to them as he's. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this expert to solve the puzzle. There's a few ways to approach this, but I think what you want to do is you want your expert to turn the lock first, come back to the middle, and then we're going to use a for loop to solve all three of these gems. Okay? Which is not too different from one of the puzzles that we saw previously. So the only difference is we're going to move the expert all the way to this square over here. That's 1, 2, 3, 3 steps. And we're going to turn the lock. So let's do that. So I'm going to say expert dot move forward. Oops. Move forward. Okay? So keep in mind, you have to specify expert dot move forward. Let's run this real quick to see if it works. Okay, initialized, and he bounces forward. Very nice. What happens if you forget expert.move forward? Let's just run my code and see what happens. You're actually going to get an error because it says cannot find move forward in scope. That's a fairly cryptic error message. It just means that there is no main character on the screen, so you can't just say move forward. You need to specify expert.move forward. So another error you might run into is if you use the wrong expert. What does that mean? That's if you type expert with a capital E inside here and try to get it to move forward. Because you can see over here, there are two autocompletes. And it's perfectly logical to just choose one of them, right? So expert dot move forward. Let's try running this and see if we get an error. Oh, it says, oops, you have an error, right? It says instance member cannot be used on type expert. Did you mean to use a value of this type instead? That's again fairly cryptic, but programming errors are a little bit like this. If you ever encounter one of these and you don't know what's going on, you can go online and just try and search for this phrase. Someone out there might have faced it and they might be able to help you. In our case, we know that it means move forward cannot be used on type expert. But did you mean to use a value of this type? What that means is, did you mean to use an instance of this type? Okay, so the way to fix that is by changing this capital E to a lowercase e. Okay, so if that was what was tripping you up, you can actually pause the video now and try and solve the rest of this by making sure you have expert dot in front of your commands. If you want to see how I solve it, just keep watching. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the expert to move forward all the way to the lock and call the expert's turn lock up method. Okay, so I'm going to say expert.move forward, and I need to do this 3 times, so I could just use a for loop instead. So let's do that, right? So I'm going to go here, type in a for loop for I in 1.3. Okay, feel free to use the little chips at the bottom to tap on them and get your for loop, or you can try typing it up just to get some practice. Okay, so I'm going to drag my closing curly brace to include expert.move forward, and that should get my expert all the way to the lock. What do I want to do afterwards? I want my expert to turn lock up. So that's a new command, and this command belongs to the expert, so we call it a method. Okay, so let's just run it and see what happens. Run it and see what happens before we go any further. So expert moves forward, hop, 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 step, 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 walk, 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 and turn lock up. Ooh, amazing. Look at that. And you can see that this tile over here has come up. Okay, and all that's left to do is to go back and pick up each of the 3 gems. And the great thing is we can reuse this for loop because a lot of these steps are 3 away from one another. So I think we're almost there. If you want to pause this and try and solve it yourself, by all means, but I'm just going to continue. So I want my expert to turn around. So turn right, turn right. And you may be wondering at this point, YJ, how come for the thing with 3 steps, you're using a for loop, but for the thing with 2 steps, you didn't use a for loop? It's fairly arbitrary at this point. You can go either way. For anything more than 3 steps, I will totally use a for loop. For 2 steps, well, you know what? I'll end up with 3 lines of code when I could have ended up with 2, so it's arguable. It's up to you, okay? So I know that after I've turned right, I want to be able to do this move 3 steps thing once again, okay? So I'm going to copy this by tapping on this and pressing copy, and tap down here and paste. Okay, so once again, let's run it real quick. And again, and this time I'm going to run it faster so that I don't have to spend too long looking at it. So walk, walk, walk. Amazing lock picking. Doing. Turn around. Walk, walk, walk. Okay, great. We are now at this condition where we face 3 gems, one on my left, one on the middle, and one on the right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the expert up so that the expert is facing the leftmost gem, pick it up, and come back. And when the expert is done, I want the expert to be facing the next gem, so I can loop that again. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to get started on this part. Before that though, I want my expert to turn left. Okay, this is called a precondition, right? We want everything to be set up so that before you start a loop, the expert is going to be facing the gem that it wants to pick up. And when it's done, it's going to be turning right and facing the next available gem on the right. That's the post condition. You might hear about these terms when you do other programming classes. They're not super critical for now, but I just thought I'd introduce these to you. Okay, I'm going to leave a space because this is to mark out the 2 sections of code. The first section was doing the lock picking. The second section is to actually grab the gems. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type out the code to grab one of the gems first and come back and turn right. And after that, I'm going to wrap that inside a for loop. Okay. How do I get from here, okay, to here? Assuming I'm facing that way. You know what? Let me just run it one time just to make sure that we're in the right configuration. Doink, 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 doink. Okay, great. We're ready for our expert to pick up the gems. So I'm going to move the expert 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Pick up the gem, turn around, move 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Okay. When the expert reaches this point, I want the expert to turn left because that's going to be the next available gem to pick up. Okay. So let's try to remember this. I'm going to leave a line because it's a new phase. We are done with the lockpicking phase. We're now going to go on our grand robbery spree. First things first, we're going to move 3 steps and collect gem. Okay. Then we're going to turn around. Oh, wait, I made a mistake. It's not collect gem. It's expert.collect gem. Remember, everything here is being done by the expert. This is minimum culpability, right? This is like hiring someone to pick a lock and steal gems for you. No taxes. Great. So now, after you collect the gem, we want the expert to turn around. So expert.turn left. Expert.turn left. Okay. And at this point, in our head, we know the expert is now over here, but facing to the center. And we want the expert to move 3 steps forward. Paste. That's because we have that in our clipboard, right? We said this 3-step thing is going to be used a lot. Let's just copy and paste it a lot. When we're done with that, there's one last thing we want the expert to do. We want the expert to face the next available gem so that he can do it all over again. So expert.turn left. Okay. I haven't actually put this through the loop yet, but I want to run it and see whether it works. Let's give it a try. Run fastest is fine. So move, 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 unlock, 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 move back. Okay, great. Move, 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 collect gem, turn around, move, 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 turn left. Okay, ready to do it all over again. Okay, and this is the point where you're going to put this entire chunk of code. I'm going to select this chunk of code right here. You're going to put this entire chunk of code inside another for loop, which might be slightly stressful for some of you because you're like, wait, I already have a for loop here. In fact, I have 2 for loops here. You're going to put these 2 for loops in another for loop? Yes, you are. And that's because this chunk of code can be abstracted into a command that says, pick up a gem and come back, right? And we just want the expert to do that 3 times. It doesn't matter how many for loops or whatever you have inside, pick up a gem and come back. We just want that to happen 3 times. We'll be talking more about this in the next chapter on functions. All right, so here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a for loop over here, and this time around I'll use the autocomplete chip at the bottom. Press 4. I want to do it 3 times. Okay, I'm going to drag this little handle to encompass everything from here to the bottom of my code. So tap on it, drag it down, drag. Some of the code might change a little bit as you're dragging. Don't worry too much. As long as you drag all the way to the bottom, you should be safe. Let go. Great. What you have here is called a nested for loop. A for loop inside a for loop. Okay? And it's perfectly legitimate because what you're doing is taking a set of instructions and having them include a for loop, but repeating that set of instructions 3 times. Okay? Let's try this out. I think it should work. Fingers crossed. Walk. Lock pick. Go back. Get ready. Pick up 1 gem. Okay. Pick up another gem. Okay. Come back. And notice how we set up the precondition and the postcondition, right? Yay! We stole everything. Excellent. And, no one can blame it on us because someone else did it. It wasn't us. It was this expert. Okay? Notice that we set up the preconditions and postconditions just to match the for loop so that we had the right set of conditions for the expert to go ahead and grab the next gem every time we're done with a given loop, right? So these are very useful concepts to know. If you've had different ways of solving this, please share them with your class. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.